In the evening, at home, Hao Hao listened to rock, because real men should only listen to rock. His sister knocked on his door and asked if she could come in. Hao Hao answered that of course she could come in. When she came in, she asked what her little brother was doing. He answered that he was listening to music, and with his mouth open he looked at his sister. She was in a short robe with her shoulders bare. She was so beautiful, and why was he so lucky? He really liked her. Leaning over to her brother, she asked him to let her listen to music. Leaning toward him so that their lips almost touched, she told him that he was different from all other men. He was so sexy. Who could resist that? Was that really the mission of a real man? He needed to hold his own. A real man should not give in to temptation. Otherwise, he's not a man, he's just an animal. But on the other hand, a man must be resolute. And why refuse, when she herself comes to you? A lot of thoughts flashed through his head at that moment. But still he made up his mind. He put his little sister on the bed, sat on top of her. His mind was leaving him. He wanted his sister so badly. But something stopped him from continuing. He didn't understand what was going through his mind. His sister began to worry about her little brother because he turned so pale all of a sudden. The boy replied that he was just anemic and would feel better if he rested. She held him to her chest and said that men are so fragile, and that Hao Hao should take care of his health. When his sister pressed him, he felt her soft breasts. By the way, he wanted to ask her a question. He was thinking of trimming his hair a little. Does she think he should do it? And his sister said she would always support him. Was it just him, or was his sister acting weird? Alright, it's no big deal. We have to strike while the iron is hot. Tomorrow he has to go to the hairdresser's. A makeover, it starts with the hair. When he went to the hairdresser's, he was greeted by a consultant. She told him that he was very handsome, and she would find him the best master. He had a woman hairdresser. She was young and beautiful. The boy asked for a haircut in the style of the playground, and that the barbers not try too hard to make it beautiful. The hairdresser was surprised at this wish. It was the first time she had heard such a wish. She thought, if he says make it ugly, it must be the other way around. A couple of hours later, she finished the haircut. She offered to use his photo to promote their barbershop instead of money. Hearing such an offer, the boy refused and decided he'd rather pay. The next time he wanted a haircut, the hairdresser advised him to come to her. If he had any other desires, she would serve him to the highest standard. She told him this and gave him her card. The boy was unaccustomed to this kind of treatment. When Hao Hao came home, he looked in the mirror at his haircut. Somehow this haircut didn't add to his masculinity, but it still looked beautiful. He had changed his haircut. Now he needed to be reborn into this world as a whole new man. He decided to look at his closet, and hopefully something appropriate. Opening his locker, he saw there inappropriate clothes for a manly man. He absolutely had to change all the clothes in there. A couple of minutes later, his dad called him and asked him to help him pack. When the boy came down, his father was very surprised. He was shocked by his hair. Why was his hair so short? What barbershop had cut his hair so badly? He said he would find them and tell them everything for what they had done to his son. The son replied to make Daddy calm down. It was his decision to keep his hair so short. It made him feel hot. But Dad still he wasn't happy about it. He even wanted to kill his son for cutting his hair so short. How was he going to get married after that? Hao Hao started defending himself and saying that it was domestic violence, and that his father didn't slap him. That's when his sister came into the room and asked what was going on. The boy ran to her, and he put his head against her chest. She told his father to calm down and that excitement was bad for his health. So what happened? The angry father replied that Hao Hao had cut his hair short without permission. He could not remain calm after such an action. Such excitement gave him a headache. Sis began to defend her little brother. She thought she looked fine as it was, the haircut was done well, he warned her about it, so he shouldn't worry, they discussed it with him. But her father still wasn't happy, he said that Zhang Qin, just spoiling him. Let her talk to him about it later, let him realize his mistake. After that, Dad went to cook again. And Hao Hao and Sister Qin were left alone. And the boy thanked her for her recent rescue, if not for her, he would have had to run away from him. She replied that since she was his sister, she should take care of him. She called him to her room to give him something. The boy was very excited to go into his big sister's room and maybe see something interesting there. When they went into the room, she had a little box on the table. She had been very busy when they were moving in, so she hadn't had time to prepare a gift for him, and now her sister was going to give him the gift. She opened the box and showed it to her brother. There were 2 precious stones. The boy was a little embarrassed and said they were too expensive. Sister Qin replied that they were inexpensive and whatever he wanted, his sister would buy them for him. Already in his room, the boy was looking at the gift. He wondered how much they cost, and maybe he should also buy a gift for Sister Qin. But when he looked at his phone balance, he found that he had almost no money left. Suddenly, he got a notification from Brother Luan. He told him that he had released his new novel. Then Hao Hao thought maybe he should start writing novels too, he should think of a plot first. The royalties for the manuscript would be paid every day, after all, so he could quickly accumulate money. Only, to write about a powerful man, it would be difficult. He thought he could combine his world with his peculiarities and jokes in a story. In that case, he would call the novel A Real Girl in a Patriarchal World. The next day, when he was walking in the schoolyard, he received a notification on his phone. There was a congratulatory message. His Roman Real Girl in the Patriarchal World had checked in to sign a contract. He was asked to contact the editor. He was surprised that the check went so quickly. At this rate, he could get paid for daily chapter updates. Things seemed to be getting better for him, but no matter what world, money was needed everywhere. It was sad. Still, the boy decided to celebrate. He decided to buy himself an ice cream for 1 yuan. Suddenly, he recognized something in this store. It seemed very familiar to him. The boy remembered that when he first saw Amy, she was in high school. She was frail, yet stubbornly standing up for him. Sister Ame was Uncle Jinya's daughter from the store next door. Since they lived so close, the girl wanted to invite Hao Hao over for tea. At that moment, he thought, this must be the feeling of first love. And after that, he often stopped by the store. Until one day he confessed his feelings to his sister Amy. The girl replied that she liked muscular guys and he was too skinny. After that incident, he gave up feeling in love. And from that day on, he started pumping his muscles like crazy to become a muscular man who could protect his sister. But in this world, it's different. After all, here he is the idol of millions. This time she's sure to say yes to him. As he approached the store, he overheard an unpleasant conversation. The shopkeeper was cursing his daughter. He said she was always stuck at home instead of working hard at her job. And how was she going to make money to bring home a man? The daughter told her daddy not to bother her. She actually tries all the time and does physical labor. Daddy didn't see the result of his daughter's physical labor. He cited the example of the Li family's daughter. She was only a couple of years older than her, and had already managed to make 300,000 in ransom money and brought an obedient man into the house. The boy thought he shouldn't get involved in this conversation and would rather come back later. But at that moment the girl looked out from behind the door. It seemed to Hao Hao that his first love hadn't changed one bit. But when the girl came completely out of the door, he saw a huge pumped-up woman. He was so upset that he cried out to God to bring his beloved sister back to him. When he went inside, the girl said they hadn't seen each other in a very long time and offered him a watermelon to eat. When she approached him, she patted him on the shoulder so that the boy fell off the chair. Hao Hao got up with light movements and said he was fine. And after saying goodbye, he quickly ran off. This damn other world, even a fragile girl like Ame turned into a dork, the boy thought. The boy urgently needed to sign up for Thai boxing, and how much did it cost last time? Still need to buy a gift for Sis Chin, and to sort out the clothes. Why does everything need money? At this rate, he won't make it to his mission, he thought. His sister Chin called him to do yoga. So girls in this world can do yoga, he thought. His sister was already tired of girls doing yoga at the gym and thought about the sport that men do. She suggested that Hao Hao do yoga together. You shouldn't be too weak a guy either. What if he gets held up at school, thought Hao Hao. It looked like he was weak in her eyes. In that case, Hao Hao suggested that she take up arm wrestling. Sis agreed, and suggested that whoever was the loser should grant one wish. It's not just arm wrestling, it's his dignity as a man. In his past life, men went through fire and water for the survival and upkeep of his family. And here his opponent is a beautiful chick, there's no way he should lose to her, Hao Hao decided. They began to fight. Hao Hao was doing quite well. But his arm began to hurt very badly. His health seemed to be failing him, but he still had a manly willpower that was harder than a stone. Sister Chin thought that Hao Hao might get hurt, so she had to finish, so she put his hand on the table. Since Hao Hao had lost to her, she had to make a wish. She didn't need anything, she just wanted to feel the head on her lap. Of course, what else could be expected of her? Hao Hao agreed. And her sister immediately laid down on his lap. The boy was surprised by this turn of events, he thought he was the one to lay her on his lap. Her brother's knees seemed very comfortable. She felt like she was in heaven. She wanted to lie on her little brother's lap as long as possible. The boy agreed she could lie on them for all eternity. Because a real man doesn't deny a woman anything. When Hao Hao was minding his own business, his classmate texted him. She arranged to go to the amusement park with Yu Hua. She also asked Luan, and he said Hao Hao was not busy. So soon let him wait to visit, he would be at his house soon. After he read the message, he heard someone calling him from the street. It was Luan, he was with some little girl. Looking out the window, he grudgingly said that in a past life he was a slave and in this one, he is a hitchhiker. Hao Hao quickly got dressed and went out. When he opened the door, a little girl immediately rushed towards him and started hugging him. Hao Hao didn't remember what kind of girl it was, so he asked Luan. Oni-chan, don't you remember me? Asked the little girl, almost crying already. It was Lin and Luan's younger sister, she was 6 years old. Of course he doesn't remember you, he saw you when you were only 4 years old, it's been 2 years. Hao Hao invited them home. He didn't want to go to the amusement park because it was boring. Luan tried his best to prove otherwise. A new attraction had opened up there, the ghost room. And shouldn't they help Ming Yu Hua with her fear of society? He certainly wasn't an expert, however, he thought he could certainly use a walk and some entertainment. Hao Hao thought for a while and decided to go, only he needed to change his clothes. A real man doesn't back down from his words of help. Finally, they arrived at the amusement park, where they met the girls. Hao Hao's classmate asked what kind of girl came with them. Luan replied that it was his sister Lin. She heard he was going to the ghost room today and tagged along. Now he has to keep an eye on her. Hao Hao could rarely be seen dressed like this, and also with a new hairstyle, but he looked beautiful and his sense of style praised his classmate. The boy was a little embarrassed and said that he had enough compliments for today. But Yuhua overcame her fear and said he was very handsome today. Hao Hao praised her for trying to keep the conversation going. Okay, let's go to the ghost room," Hao Hao's classmate commanded. They came to a creepy house. Lin became so scared that he wanted to go back to the carousel or the Ferris wheel. It was boring on such rides, so he wanted to go to the ghost room. They had already agreed that they would go to the ghost room. Since there were too many of them, they needed to split into 2 groups. Hao Hao's classmate suggested that she go with him, and Yuhua, Luan and Lin Ling were in the other group. But the little girl didn't want to be in that group, she wanted to be with Hao Hao Chan. Then Hao Hao had his say. Lin should go with her brother, after all, she is the bravest of them all and he is the most timid, no need to worry about him and he will be with Ming Yuhua. Judged by the looks of Huang Yuan, if he is with her in the same group, she will definitely harass him. After all, he would be safer with Yuhua. Luan's group will go in first, they will watch the road, and Hao Hao and Yuhua will go in with them in 10 minutes. After all, Huang Yuan is not afraid of anything. She had already confirmed right away that the girls were not afraid of anything. She told Luan not to worry, if anything, she will protect them. And they went first. After 10 minutes, Hao Hao suggested they go in. When they went in, they heard Yuan and Luan screaming. Hao Hao didn't think she was such a coward. He asked Yuhua if she was afraid to be here. If she is afraid of something, let her stay with him. It was quite a large room. After 10 minutes, Hao Hao noticed that Yuhua wasn't with him. He started looking for her, he went around many rooms and in one of the closets he heard Yuhua, she was hiding in a closet because she got lost. Hao Hao helped her out and calmed down. He was the first to treat her so well. When Luan came out of that scary house, he said he would never come in here again. He shouted so loudly that he even deafened Yuan with his roar. Yuan immediately noticed that they were gone for a long time, she was already beginning to imagine things. Hao Hao asked Yuhua to come to him, but instead she threw herself into his arms.